Mhm. I feel you on that. I feel you on that. And like I say, I think with all the good though, it just makes me wonder what's next. Like you said, certain things reinvent themselves or they become better. What's next? And then we look at it, I know people whose parents were taxi drivers. Where do they go from? Do they have to convert? Because in my old car, I couldn't drive for Uber. I was being discriminated against because I had a black card. No, I'm joking. Because my car. But what if I'm that guy that needs money, but I don't have a car that's up to date for Uber? You know what I'm saying? I still
a yellow cab. Somebody had to give you a yellow cab, right? So the difference is
exactly. But I don't. But I ain't have to pay. I can go because look, one of my closest homeboys, rest in peace, was in my wedding. He drove a cab for a while we were in college to make money. I mean, he had to go out and leave. He just had to pay his cab a monthly, but it's like he didn't have to go out and buy a car, but he could use that car off the clock to run his errands and take care of himself. But in the Uber generation, where does he fit in now? Because Uber's bumping those guys out, but he didn't have a vehicle. So now, what does he do? Like I say, before I had to save up to get a newer car, I would have been isolated out because my car wouldn't have met the qualifications for Uber. So what about those people?
But no, but he would actually be able to. Right now, he would be able to drive for Uber Eats.
For who?
Uber Eats. He could drive for Uber Eats. Uber Eats doesn't have it's basically you take your vehicle, you go pick up my food and bring it to me, and I call you on demand. And so that's where he fits in.
Do they usually make the money comparable to those that?
Oh, well, now that's a whole nother. But then that's what makes me raise the question: who had how much power does Uber have? Because then at that point, Uber saying, "Look, I'm gonna pay you $2 for every meal you go pick up," right? And is that really viable, right? Is that a living wage? Then it takes back how many meals can you go get in an hour, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what's interesting to me. But to try to get our young people and our community to think about that, like those, because I know there are people out here who make a living driving on all three platforms: the grocery platform, the Eats platform, and the day. Oh, and then on top of that, to add to it, I left this part out. That's why I was thinking about the bikes. So you all know like the rideshare scooters and everything, and then you've seen those. Yeah, so the hustle behind that is somebody has to recharge those. You can contract out to be the responsible one who has to go pick these bikes up, charge them at night, and then go redistribute them. That can also be your hustle. So you could actually have making a living. Your occupation could be driving Uber during the day, delivering Uber Eats at night, picking up the bikes at night, go home, go to sleep while your bikes are charging, redistribute them out in the morning, rinse and repeat. And that's how you make a living. There's people that do. That's it. Like, and so I'm like, that's wild. That's wild.
All right. Well, on that note, let's take that final break. That's some good stuff, though. Good stuff. Step your game up. Get out there. Find that producer. You know what to do. We'll see you in 30. You Up Radio.
Trippy, I'm yours for the getting. Talking foolish at the moon, I was gone. 1800 sipping.
All right, we back. I can't get rid of my head. I don't think I hurt my neck nodding to that Anderson .Paak. But so last segment, because it kind of flows with everything we've been talking about. With just the tech. We thought about everything moving from industrial to tech, and now the age of Amazon, the Amazon takeover. I know, JC, you mentioned like as far as just as much as your Uber, your Amazon, which I know I love it. We all utilize it, from everything from Fire Stick to ordering items to whatever. So here's the question I want to throw out. You can jump on it. What's up with this Amazon takeover? Are we seeing the future to where it's going to be all about Amazon? I'm just throwing it out there. What's your take?
I'm gonna go left field on this one. I think it really is all three. Well, we talked about Uber and Amazon, but there's some others out there. I think they really basically are capitalizing on the laziness. Because here's the thing: how is it when we think about Amazon, and how I always look at them is, to my first introduction, going like you were doing, the Christopher Columbus, was like the books. I would go to Amazon to order books or order textbooks for my daughter or something like that, right? And now, like, I can go in, I can get my movies, I can get my music, and I can get my grocery, I can get anything I want from Amazon. And if I pay that upcharge to be a Prime member, which I am, then I've totally converted, which means I literally could live in my house and not have to worry about it. Only thing Amazon doesn't have, they can't get me a ride. That's the only thing that they cannot do. Because now with Amazon influencers, I can actually work for Amazon from home. So, the point I was talking about last segment is that my thing is that, we talked about during our generation, the digital divide. My fear is that we have a group of young people who are totally offering up their information to empower these organizations, and they're consuming the services, paying a premium to be able to do it, but they're not being a part of that process of, wait a minute, why can't I do this? Or how do I get on this to get in on this elevation of this company? And what'll happen, I believe, is that they'll get to a point where it's just going to be so large, where they say too big to fail. It's just going to be too big that you can't get in. They're going to be able to say, like, you're going to have to be able, like you were talking about your man, if you're not in a situation where you can adapt to either one of those platforms or whatever that next level is, then you're going to be left out. And so then it creates that same vortex of now, well, let me see if I can go and hustle on the corner. Oh, wait, I can't sell no reefer no more because it's legal everywhere. Right? Like, so it's scary. That's what scares me, not so much the technology or the company. It's just having a generation of people who don't have that same ingenuity and they look like me, right? That's the fear that I have.
Well, let me ask this, because we had some good conversation on the secret to the success of these companies. I want to go back in there, and I know, Brother D, you brought up some good points on that too, in marketing tools and everything, and I want to share that because that was some good convo. Talk about that secret sauce and how they cleverly utilize this tool we call the internet to really capitalize on the market or the consumer. Go into that a little bit.
JC, I'll let you start on that one because I kind of picked up on the back end of that one.
Well,
go ahead.
What we know is that, the largest authentication tool that we have, or I guess we say the kit for authenticating who you are on the internet is usually an email address. And it comes out an example of, when my dad was here doing Thanksgiving, he was just enamored by not only the Netflix and the shows that I had access to, but also the Uber. And one of the things that I was telling him is that, you either have to have email address or you have to give them your cell phone information. And those two pieces of information hold the greatest value. Like, those are the vaults and the keys to all your data in the digital world. Who you email, what's on your browser, what your browser history is. All of that usually happens based off of an authentication of your email address. And the same thing with your apps online. Once I find out what your phone number is, I have access to know what apps you download, how often you download it. And a lot of times when we're not looking at that except the terms and conditions, we're saying, hey, yeah, you can have this for free. Meanwhile, we have organizations and these billionaire companies that are actually selling this back out to be billion-dollar companies, and we're giving it up for free. And again, I know I keep sounding like a broken record, but it's that awareness. Like, do we really realize the value we have on the information that we provide as a collective group? We can sit here and talk about people of color on a podcast from California, USA to North Carolina, USA, and see how many other people are there, there's probably a study being had on why it is that those people are doing that or how successful those people are, that major organizations like the Pew Foundation, like you mentioned before, or like Nielsen, that the data, that's what they want. Even the content facts are all about, give me your email address and you can enter a chance to win a 96-inch TV. Most of us think about, well, I'll give up my email address one time because I want that 96-inch. Meanwhile, they got 5,000 email addresses in the last 5 minutes, right? So they're like, yeah, I'll go buy, a $500-$600 TV to sit there and get 5,000 email addresses. Because with 5,000 email addresses, you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars in value that you can flip back over. And you multiply that times 100 different contests in a given week, we all could be a millionaire company, but we don't realize the value in our data.
And what I think what most consumers don't understand is how invaluable data mining actually is. And that's where the internet is. So when people think about privacy and privacy laws and the internet, the first thing you have to realize, the internet doesn't have any privacy laws. Once it's there, once you've gone there, there are certain cyber laws that you can attach to it, but those cyber laws don't have anything to do with your privacy at all. It's just misuse of information that protect other entities, but not necessarily yourself. So what companies like Amazon and Uber, like we talked about earlier, and Facebook and other social media outliers, is they mine your data, find out exactly what it is that you like. And it seems new, but remember, we used to have these books that people could buy, say how to pick up women and they give you all these tips and information and so on and so forth. But what they did was they data mined information that they were able to gather about women through research. So it was just, the research was just done differently. Now what's happening now is people are willingly, and this is what you talked about a little bit earlier, JC, is people are willingly giving them the information. So the information doesn't have to be researched. It's already there because you're willingly giving it out. You willingly put that out there. So when you order Uber Eats, now they've data mined what you like to eat. If you've driven to work, they now know where you work. If you've ordered packages of certain clothes, and they know what kind of clothes you like to buy. They know what shoes you like to wear. That data is being mined somewhere. So the company that you buy it from can make sure that they curtail to your every need the next time you decide you want to buy from them. But what does that mean for other companies? That means that, hey, look, if they need access to that information, they have to go through the company that you use to order the things that you wanted to obtain that information. And there's nothing that actually protects people from that. And that's the one thing that they don't understand about
it. Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think that's what
I feel that. Yeah, and I want to, before I go further than that, I want to give a quick update because I know Brother D would be interested in this. I just want to say the UNCG Spartans are in a tight game with Kentucky right now. And 5 minutes to go. 64-59. That's what I do.
Oh, okay.
Just go Sparty. All right.
All right. Kentucky. I'm looking for it right now.
Yeah,
thank you.
But go that. Shout out to the Spartans. But here's my thing. With that, and we brought it, and D might go into the law again. Don't we fear that with intrusion, with that access, with those tools that people use? Is that playing unfair? Like, where do we draw the line with that? Like, let's take advantage of people. To me, if you use my email, you check them out for like.
Wait.
And maybe
I don't think there's a line drawn, because once you put your information out there, then it's open for anybody. And so there's